Welcome to Very Big Ventures, where bold ideas and the people behind them take center stage. Because very big ventures don't start big, they start with a spark, a frustration, a moment when someone decides this matters. From personal dreams, entrepreneurial leaps, to reluctant leaders who never planned to build something big. And every journey may begin small, but the journey changes the person, and we're here to explore it. My name is Taj Adhab, the founder of Leasecake, and I'm fascinated by the moment when someone decides to build something bigger than themselves. And on this show, we go beyond the headlines into the doubt, the risk, the turning points, and the very big visions that are still unfolding. This is Very Big Ventures. Let's begin. Today's guest is an entrepreneur, a multi-unit franchise operator of Aroma Joe's, a Leasecake customer. She's an educator, an investor, and a co-founder of Aspire Me Group. And her story starts in Belarus, then moves to the US with a plan that was supposed to be temporary and turns into a journey of building businesses, leading large teams, and scaling franchise operations, and now even helping other founders grow the right way. What makes her story especially compelling is that it combines grit, systems, leadership, and a real understanding of what scale actually costs. Please welcome Maryna Shuliakouskaya.
Hello, everybody. Thank you for having me here.
For sure. It's an absolute honor, Maryna. I think what people should get a little bit more knowledge of is your background. Like, you talk about Belarus. What was happening in your life at the time before you came to the US?
Or growing up, we were pretty poor. I would say we live off the gardens that we had. Grandparents had cows, pigs. But by the time I was around 16, 17, we actually made enough money to have an apartment. And I was actually going to college for my computer science major. I selected that major simply because it paid a lot of money if you graduate. So that was my way of secure my future. So before coming to the United States, I just completed 5 years out of 6 at the college and prepping myself to be a computer science major.
And roughly what time was that? What year was that?
So it was coming to the United States in 2007. So around 2006, 2007.
Wow, wow, wow. And so the dream of coming to the US and making some amount of money and returning back. Tell us more.
Right. So the dream was pretty simple. Get a visa, come to the United States for the summer. I'm pretty good with numbers, so I calculated this. I need $5,000 to make, and most likely I'll need 3 jobs full-time to juggle among 3 months to make that amount of money. Just remember, inflation, 2007, very different than today. And that $5,000 would have been enough to have a 200 guest wedding in Belarus. So that was the dream, make enough money to have my wedding in Belarus. I was engaged to a gentleman for 3 years back there. So I was just wanted to come in and have a wonderful, big, huge wedding.
Wow, that's so cool. And so what happened at the moment where you realized that maybe I'm not going to go back?
As simple as it is, and as complex as it is, I met a different guy and I fell in love. So instead of going back with $5,000 to have a wedding, I did have $5,000. And instead of going back, I moved on in my life with a different gentleman.
Wow. And how fluent were you with the English language?
Maybe 15, 20 words max. But
Okay.
my current husband, who I met that many years ago, he was trying very hard. He was drawing on the paper. He would draw on the sand when he invited me to visit the local beaches area. So he was very accommodative, let's put it that way.
Got it. And so at what point in time did you realize you had this ambition? Was it growing up in Belarus, or did it start to come to you when you arrived here?
I think initially it comes from idea of survival. If you want to survive, you need to do something. So at young age, if you want some cash, You go to the forest and you pick blueberries, and then you sell it on the market. You might go to your grandmother's closet and find some glass Tupperware and recycle it for money to get some cash. So
Yeah.
you try to figure out how to get even a little bit of money on spending, like a simple things like candies, as all the kids want. So that's when entrepreneurship spirit started. My dad was very supportive. He also tried to figure out how to make money. So he opened a little machinery shop where he was selling certain machinery parts. So I would be his delivery driver. I would be his QuickBooks, something similar to QuickBooks
Yeah.
person or bookkeeper. So he used me as his second in command at very early age. As soon as I got my driving license, I was able to pick him up after certain events, parties, meetings. I was by his side all the time. And I think that was the hardest of moving to the United States. My dad and I had a very close connection, and he believed in me to take it to the next level in Belarus. And instead of that, I left.
And you met a different guy and you fell in love.
Exactly. Love changed it all.
Absolutely. Um, all right. So fast forwarding a little bit, you're there now in the US and you're based where? Up in Maine at that time?
I mean, right in the southern border, mainly New Hampshire.
Okay. And what made you open your eyes to opening up your Aroma Joe's, or who approached who?
Oh, before Aroma Joe's, there's so much more, right? But the idea
Go
is
ahead.
of going through any stage of your life and trying to do your best. Somebody asked me, did I have everything figured out when I came in? I didn't have anything figured out. I didn't even speak the language, right? So you're starting initially just with idea, as I mentioned earlier, survival. What do we need to survive, right? Food, place to stay, some little bit of entertainment, maybe movies once a quarter, something that keeps you going. And then you start putting a little bit of plans in place. So for me, the one plan I had in place, except for building a family, it was my husband, different guy, right, at that time, of actually going back to college. I knew it was important to me. It was important to my dad. As I mentioned, I only completed 5 out of 6 years in Belarus, so I was a dropout, which was very hard to process for my dad and myself. And doing all the jobs that I had through my life taught me the idea of working hard, working smart, right? Doing the best as you can, no matter if you what cleaning toilets or you're serving the guests, and especially when nobody's watching. I think you own it to yourself. Do be as good in your own room, right, when nobody else is looking at you, as you're in the front of the guests. So with the idea of getting different degrees, when I got my bachelor's degree, I was ready to leave Maine. I had this crazy idea of going to New York City. First of all, you watch movies, you'll see New York. It's a fascinating city. So I wanted to go to New York. And my goal was at that time, my dream, one day to make it to the top floor of the one of the big tall buildings with the glass ceilings and walls. Ceilings could be regular, overseeing the river. That's where I see myself at that time. And I've shared that idea of me moving on with, at that time, my boss, as I worked for Subway in marketing and R&D in state of Maine. And he said to me, are you sure you want to go to New York? But yes, it's exciting. It's something new. I'm seeing it in so many movies. At that time, he was working with the founders of Aroma Joe's to franchise it. And he asked me if instead of going to New York, I'll be interested in getting involved in franchising and opening a first franchised Aroma Joe's location. So I know the question was short. I gave you a long answer, but I had to prep you for me saying yes to the brand.
I No, I like that. See, you definitely had big dreams, big New York dreams, big, top floor overlooking the river. But you mentioned the R&D role that you had at Subway. What did that entail?
So Subway was one of my first jobs as I came to the United States as a
Yep.
sandwich artist. It was also first of my management jobs. They gave me a job as managing a Subway restaurant without me fully writing and reading. It was a big honor, and I took it to heart. And I also very competitive. So I was able to show some great KPIs, which I was not striving to show off. I was just trying to do a good job. So people were proud of me that's giving me that chance. So when I was getting up through my career, I was trying to escape one more time before the New York trip. And that's when I got an offer to work at the Subway office in state of Maine. Subway has regional offices too.
Mm-hmm.
We call them development agents, right? Development agent offices. So development agent for Maine offered me a job as a marketing assistant at his office. And if anybody or you follow my LinkedIn profile, I posted just recently getting myself a first marketing job, as I mentioned, coming to work, opening the computer and Googling what is marketing. That's true story. I got a marketing assistant job, not knowing anything about marketing. It's just the idea of somebody taking a chance on me because they wanted to create a spot for me somewhere where I wanted to be. And that chance turned out getting involved with Aroma Joe's because it's the same gentleman who gave me my marketing job, same gentleman who offered me an opportunity to franchise with Aroma Joe's.
I love that story where people bet on you because I think they see that raw talent, right? Doing what you do really well, not just in front of guests, but holding yourself accountable behind the scenes when no one is looking. So I think that competitive spirit definitely shone through for sure. The first Aroma Joe's, the one that you were presented in owning and buying and running. Um, did you see yourself having two, three, or four, or how long were you running it? I mean, was this just kind of a gamble and a bet, something you dabble in?
Sometimes I do things for fun. You probably noticed I've been engaged for multiple years, and then I just met a different guy, fell in love, and married, knowing him 2 months later. Just so we clear on the story, right? 2 months
Yes.
later, I met my husband. I married him. We've been together for close to 19 years. Uh,
Nice.
so what I thought to myself with the first Aroma Joe's, okay, my head, I was talking to myself, right? I'm not going to go to New York. Let's put it on pause for 2 years. See how this works out. I'm excited, passionate about it. I'll stay. We'll do something else. Did I have everything figured out? No. The only thing I did in the moment of, I said, yes, I'll do it. Everything else came later. I think a lot of people try to think about every single step and they get so confused in their own head that they don't say yes. The only thing I needed to figure out, is it going to support my household? That's the first and most important thing. We worked so hard with my husband to buy our first house. So we wanted to make sure that at least it provides for the family. Everything else was the bonus. And it's like a gambling, right? Idea of, is it 2 times, 5 times, or 10 times gambling? We'll find out later in our journey. But initially for me, it was just simple. Am I secure in my household? Everything else, all the extra money investments we can play with.
Sure. Yep. It's a lot to do with the confidence you have in yourself because we see that with, very big ventures usually start with an idea and that belief in I'm just going to take it on and then I'll figure it out as I go. Right. Just like I'm going to Google what it is to be a marketing coordinator.
Right. And those days, think about how much more technology we have and
Yeah.
opportunities to learn overnight. You can learn coding. I got excited about coding one of the platforms. I spent the whole entire night doing it. So there's so much more opportunities to learn, maybe a little bit too much. That's we get again, confused in
Yep.
our own head. But confidence is very critical for anyone. Joining different organizations, I can see an amazing people. They know so much more than I do. They have so much more leverage that they can use from financial standpoint, from the people standpoint. They don't do it because they doubt themselves, which I think we can fix it. If they listen enough podcasts, if they read enough books, if they go to enough conferences and have the right people around them, they can fix it. But
Yeah.
we'll get to that.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, doubt and just not believing in yourself that gets in the way of a lot of things and progress. So your story is incredibly inspiring. Um, Obviously, you've got a great sense of kind of operations and revenue maximization, unit level economics. But to what extent how did you hone your people skills? Because you said you need to find people that are smarter than yourselves, right?
I'll say this, and you can redirect me in the future if you don't think I'm answering the right way. But when I started in the United States, I had close to zero to nothing people skills. I couldn't keep my initial employees at Subway when I worked. Some people made fun of me because I was giving out toothbrushes and asked them to clean between the tiles. It was just extreme. But over time, I've learned that if I'm actually nice to people, it's not about just the speed, because I was all about speed. Fast sandwich as fast as possible out of Subway. Probably I won quite a few competition on being the fastest sandwich maker, right? But I've learned that if you smile and you're actually intentional, nothing really costs extra of saying hello and little engaging in small conversation. It doesn't cost an extra penny. But people didn't care just about the fast sandwich. They also cared of coming to see me. And when that clicked in my head, I told myself, what do I want more? A relationship with people or just transaction? And I end up in my head and my heart understanding that relationships are much stronger. They're actually the one that will keep you up floating in the dark times, right? When the customer counts are down, the sales of the trajectory is not going the right way. People that's come to see you and save you are the people that you build a relationship with. So that's when I learned, and through Subway career, that it's not just about the speed, it's about the relationships, customer service, building a network of people who would come. They might not even want a sandwich today. They might want to go get a salad, or well, Subway you can get a salad, but maybe tuna roll, a sushi roll. But they come to see you because they know you're working there. That was a major switch in my head.
Maryna, that's absolutely gold, right? A smile doesn't cost you anything, and that it's kindness in building relationships over transactions for sure. There's a lot of businesses out there that still treat the customers as simply a transaction, it's a stepping stone. But sounds like you're really taking that to heart. How do you translate that across your team? Like, do you hire for that specific skill? Do you train for that specific skill over time? Or do you just a naturally good recruiter to find people
Oh,
that have
not
your same
naturally
skills?
good. That's hard to say. We all make mistakes. That's where mistake is the learning opportunity for sure. And I've made few of mine over the years. Um, you have to understand the people that you directly touch in your organization. So when you own one coffee shop, you touch every single employee through the conversation, right? You will see the opener, you'll see the closer, you'll see the manager, you'll see everybody, and you will have a conversation. So you can build a culture directly. Then you're growing. So who are your direct people that you work with? For me, currently, my director of operations. They need to be the right people that's aligned with me on the values, people that's fully understand the culture, but not just understand, but live it. And you watch them through life, through the year, when you do their reviews also. What did you do in your personal life? Nothing to do with professional when I do the review. Personal life that aligns with a core value of the organization. Our mission is positively impacting people. How did you in the last 6 months positively impact people at work, at home, and in your community? Those type of questions, when you start hiring with those type of questions, you have people, those things in mind, like your culture, you have to hire for those. Then you transition further. They're hiring the managers. They're directly working with the managers of each location. We call them team leaders. If they do a poor hire and they don't hire for values, they're going to have turnover. None of my director of operations want turnover because they'll have to be in shop more and more. Worst case scenario, they will be working shifts and I will be working shifts, right? So there's also the leverage of like, let's hire for a culture. Let's not, because we're growing so rapidly, let's not just hire 100 people just because. Let's do our work up front. I'm always about it, not after all being catching issues. Let's
Sure.
prevent them, right?
Yeah.
When you go through the airport, do you ever thank TSA for quick service? No, you don't. But when it's slow and long, you tell the world. So the same thing applies to anything we do in our business. Let's prevent that. Let's have practices, procedures, structures to prevent that from happening. We already in a higher turnover rate industry, simply because our workers go to high schools and colleges. As soon as they finish their high school, they moving on to a different city, state, right? So natural turnover. When we have people coming for the summer in our state, they staying with their parents, they went to work, they only there for the summer, the natural turnover happened. But the best part is, if you treat people well and you hire for your core values and culture and definitely mission, they come back even on a seasonal basis. So every summer for 5 years, we have people coming in until they go get a big job of their dreams. I'm saying somebody in college for 4 or 5 years. Somebody started with us at the age of 15, they with us until 18, and they move on. So even with the new generation, we can still have longevity of employment, even if it's temporary, but over a certain number of years.
Yeah. So you're training workers to even be even better workers, not just even within Aroma Joe's, but just, I think, in their own career arc, whatever that is.
Oh, I'll tell you, when I will be old, 80, 100.
Long time.
I will be watching whatever it's coming up. Maybe it's not a TV, maybe it's something else so many years from now, right? And I'll say, this person worked for me and this person, and now they're in politics. Maybe it's the next president of the United States who established the fundamental skills and grit and desire to do better with me. So my goal is to create a new generation to come that's better than us, and whatever that means for them. And fundamental skills with training, simply talking to people, looking into customers' eyes and seeing if they're okay. Because some people will come to us, they're upset, they just lost a loved one, they just got fired from work. So many things happen through their life. They just coming for some little bit of joy of a coffee or energy drink, anything they're looking for. So pausing for a second. We're drive-through, so we have to be quick, but also teaching them this emotional intelligence skills that I fully believe in, of reading the room, reading the energy. We train that, they can put it in place anywhere they go to. So my goal is one day to see all of my employees in high roles around the world, changing it for the world to be a better place.
Wow. I wish I could put that in a bottle. I mean, this is exactly what the world needs
Let's
to
put
hear.
it in the coffee cup.
That's it. Put it in the coffee cup. So you went from one, now I think you've got how many locations? And then I think you're managing a bunch of Aroma Joe's on behalf of other franchisees.
Right. So myself, I have 12. We also have some other franchisees that we provide services to. We have a little company on the side called Academy Management Group that provides the services to other franchisees. We do the books, so bookkeeping, financial statements, financial reporting, and then HR, paying the employees, onboarding, all of fun things that they don't want to do. Because a lot of franchisees, they just want to operate the business. They're not looking forward to go home and pay the bills or do the payroll. So we lift them up by taking that on in our company.
Yeah. So you're helping them grow their coffee empire, or any business, whether it's growing your pizza empire, your burger empire, all of the minutia of back office functions, you alleviate that. What's one, I don't know, whether it's a painful lesson or really hard lesson that you learned that like permanently changed how you think about growth or scaling up?
You used to be a young entrepreneur, still young in a lot of others' eyes, but when I was just starting up, I relied heavily on other opinions. When somebody would say to me that has more authority, more knowledge, it's a good site, that is a good selection, that is a good location, I believe them. I currently believe that I should listen to my gut feeling. Even if you're still young and you might not have everything figured out, so your gut feeling is still new and learning, I would rather mess up because I thought of it than I mess up because somebody else told me to do it. So that's one big thing that's, in my opinion, would never do that again. By idea of somebody telling me doing something and I don't agree, but I still do it because I see them as an authority. So listen to your inner voice. We question that inner voice often because, what kind of data do you have? Did you run the spreadsheets? 5 years of data, 10 years of data? Oh, I'm only 25, so I don't have much data in my gut feeling, right? But your gut feeling is more just the data set. It's your culture, it's your background, it's your experience, it's your childhood, it's whatever you've done in the past. So if you don't believe in it, don't do it. Because
Right.
it's much harder to blame yourself because of listening to other people. I'd
Yeah.
rather blame myself by me doing it
Yeah.
than putting it on others.
How do you impart that on your team? Because it's sounding like you're saying you want your team to act like owners. I mean, you can't just tell people to do that. So what is it in your style?
Couple things I do. First of all, giving permission is a big thing. People sometimes don't ask the permission. You go to a restaurant, you have an issue. Let's not a restaurant. Let's say a coffee shop, right? Drive-through, and something wrong with your coffee, and they would say, "Let me ask a manager to speak to you." Why do we need a manager to speak to you? Just fix it, right? But often the barista, that's their first job, they're looking for permission. So what I've learned, give a permission ahead. So during a training, you get my permission and a director of operation permission physically said to you that I'm giving you permission to fix any problems you have with the customers, any issues, any concerns, make their day, ask them how you can solve it. And by the end of the day, the most expensive beverage probably in our shop, we can, if we add all the extra things, probably $8, $10. So if you give away $10 to make that customer feel good, it's fine. So fix it. My permission is given to you. That's number one, because often that's not clear for the employee. They're not sure what to do when they have an issue.
Right.
And then they're worried about if they fix an issue that they will get in trouble because they don't know what you think. Maybe they think you should tell the customer, no, just drink it what I made you. I'm right, you're wrong. Of course, it's a joke, but the idea, you understand where I'm going. You need to physically give a permission to the employee. Secondly, remember I talked about earlier about people that you physically touch through the organization. So you teach them and then you're scaling it to other levels. So for example, all my director of operations see the financial reporting. They see the balance sheets, they see the P&Ls. It's up to you if you're sharing it or what you want to share. You don't have to share it all, but you have to share some key KPIs that they are impacting, their job impacting it. But in the QSR industry, it's cost of goods, cost of labor. Usually takes at least 50% of your sales, easily. And if you're not watching it, it could go 60 and even higher, which means you're not going to be profitable after that. Okay. So you physically explaining to your director of operation, in my case, what are we looking at? We're looking at the sales, cost of goods, dollars, not just percentages. You know, when you physically see that's $50,000 when as part of paying your cost of goods, your inventory levels, they're blown away the first time. They would not believe it, how much money you're actually spending. They don't know, right? So you share that. Then they're sharing with their team what managers or team leaders, as we call them, can manage. So number of hours we're supposed to be open and how many hours we can schedule. Cost of goods, how are we doing day after day, week after week, right? And what are our goals? So you're scaling and minimizing the amount of information that you're giving, but you're giving in a relative voice. If I told my team leader today that your return on asset is 23%, what is she going to do with it? Her job is to make sure that we efficiently running the shop. But if I tell her that because we didn't do the FIFO method and we just wasted $150 of chocolate milk, she can turn around and coach her team. Hey guys, we need to use the FIFO method because we just wasted $150 of chocolate milk and we prefer not to do it. It's money. It's money brought to the dumpster. That speaks to the barista. Food cost percentage, labor cost percentage doesn't speak to them. They're not there yet to know it. They're just there to have fun and work with their coworkers and make $50 after work. That's all. But when you mention the dollar value and what it's doing, it's clicks.
Yeah. Wow.
Simply telling them what to do is not enough. So have your KPIs in place, but make sure they're relevant to the people. Okay? Because there's a way to give too much. That's we all into reviewing our financials and just discovering KPIs and working KPIs that we don't actually do the job to fix those KPIs.
Yeah. So you're a huge advocate of sharing information and really empowering your team.
Absolutely.
A good friend of mine said, I may not be a know-it-all, but I'm a share-it-all.
Oh, absolutely. And I would share if anybody walks today and asks me for something different, teach them how to do so. So I'll be all for it because I believe in knowledge. And I think people that's holding knowledge hostage, they're pretty insecure. I'm not saying that every person should know everything. And I'll tell you, there's a trial period for my area supervisors to see full financials. And it's usually a couple of years. The brand new director of operations area supervisor that started with me, they're not going to see financials right out of the gate. They'll see the middle level financials, but I have to train them to understand the financials first. Because seeing that net income is $200,000 doesn't mean we put $200,000 in the books. But if they don't have that knowledge, they would immediately assume Maryna is rich. Why would I ask for double pay next year, right? They need to understand the financials fully before I'm just opening all the books.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. You were talking about different technologies here before we started this podcast, um, and where technology is going. Like, what do you lean on day to day in your operations, not just for your own Aroma Joes, but on behalf of your clients at Acadia?
There's so many different things. Sometimes I actually have to have on a calendar which technology I'm using, right? So our point of sale system is reporting to us on a cloud base. So I can look at our daily operations, data reports, KPIs, all online for our locations. Okay. For my personal use, I have, of course, summary of, first of all, news summary coming in the morning. I try to use every single AI tools, ChatGPT to Claude, to coding and code, just to learn it. Because I'm super excited of all the technology that's coming out, because I do believe we're going to remove some unnecessary steps. Recently, maybe a couple of years ago, so my manager of HR sits right next to me in the other room. And we were talking about job security a couple of years ago when AI just starting up. And I said to her, the data entry might go away. What you need to focus on building relationship with the team, reducing the turnover by communicating well, by visiting location. Because we're not planning to replace our baristas with robots. Maybe other brands are planning it. We are not. We don't even have the box that you talk to. You come to the window to talk to us. So we fully committed to personal interaction. And I would like to have baristas that's happy at work, which that's what my HR will refocus on. We're not entering the data, a lot of integration, populated reports that we don't have to manually do it anymore, but personal connection still so critical. That's where I see her job is going.
Got it. Got it. Okay. Talk about your footprint, because you mentioned, you spend a lot of time in your shops with your baristas. How big is your a typical retail location?
For the footprint, we're not too big. We're usually around 1,000 square feet. Very, very small drive-through kiosk. But on the scale of hiring employees, how many we have, we could have anywhere from 20 to 50 employees per location. Quite a few part-timers, of course. But for the volume that we're doing and number of employees that we need per shift, we do need to retain around 30 plus employees.
Wow. 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 From a growth standpoint, what do you see right now happening in the market, whether it's Maine or otherwise? Is it tight to find retail real estate space?
I would say so. I think the prime real estate is always hard to find. Usually, you have to be on the lookout all the time to be able to figure it out. But you also look at the competitors that's exiting the market too. If you're in a certain industry, like if I'm in my industry, I might be watching after Tim Hortons, what they're doing. They've exited a lot of markets, and we are continuously looking, myself, not as a brand, just me, is there other location that they're exiting because there's some infrastructure already there, drive-throughs already there, improvement, DOT, Department of Transportation, forgot the terminology for a second, but I thought I'll share, already there. So there's some reduction on expenses you can make out of those sites.
Okay.
But site is everything.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
location. Often meet with potential franchisees. I tell them, if you don't believe in the location where you're going to, don't do it. That gut feeling of telling you that you're on the wrong side of the street, don't do it. If you're okay to settle with the less income or sales coming through, that's fine. But just acknowledge that's you not the right spot.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's not just like you said, whether it's renewal options, you're in the right spot and you definitely want to stay there. It's also early termination provisions
No.
because you might want to break the lease to move to a better spot. Like I can't imagine like with what you said, hey, if you're okay making a little less money, um, you can stay in that spot. Like who would ascribe to that?
People think uniquely when it comes to that. Well, my
Yeah.
rent is going to be $1,000 less a month, so I'll take this spot. Okay, with all the AI tools those days, you can calculate it. How much more do you need to bring in sales on the opposite side of the street when it's $1,000 more? And you will find out that it might be more beneficial because you could be not just $5,000 more in sales. You might be able to do even better.
Yeah.
So people focus often on cost instead of investment and opportunity. I see it often with the labor force, where you need an additional person, but you're looking as, okay, on the P&L, it's going to be fixed labor expense for an additional $75,000 to $100,000. We cannot afford it. And we always go into conversation, okay, if we cannot afford it, can we afford an investment of the same amount of money? As soon as you spin the conversation from expense into investment, magically people open up much more. Yes, I'm okay investing $100,000 to get 10x on the other side of that $100,000. So almost like having the same conversation, but in a different language.
Oh, absolutely. It's growth, growth, growth. Have you um, seen any other founders that were struggling with scale that maybe have stalled out, and you could potentially have seen that earlier on?
I mean, not to name them, but I do have few friends that, first of all, were thinking about franchising and then step back. You probably been seeing in the news how many locations are franchised, but then the main office or franchisor buys them out.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if they're trying to increase the valuation of the company or what they're trying to do in there. There's many different moves that they can do there. But um, correct franchisee or the right franchisee specific to beginning a franchise and so critical. I know I'm being told often that they got lucky with me, but in reality, you do need to find strong franchisees to grow your brand. When you're growing, you might be able to afford a couple of weak ones. Then you buy them out, sell it to another franchisees, get them out of the system, right? But initially, that initial spark into a big world of franchising, it does need strong leaders. That's why a lot of founders grow locations to 50, 100 before they start franchising because they cannot release the brand out of their hands and let other people run it, which you only can go so far doing it by yourself.
Good advice. So it's almost like it's a blind spot that some people see.
Oh, absolutely. It's all about how you start the conversation. Looking as I told you earlier, looking at the expense versus investment. I see it often, so often, even people that bring a lot of money to the table still look specifically at the labor cost as an expense, not turning it into, yes, we do need a couple more people, and they are going to take us to the next level. Because, I mean, we rely on AI heavily, but you still need people to execute a lot of moves to get you to the next stage. Maybe in the future will be different, but as of right now, still people focused. And I will go people focused until the end. We evolve. I love technology. Know that evolving is critical to survive, in my opinion. It's kind of getting lost in the woods, right? Then you start feeding yourself from what you see. So you need to know what to eat, what not to eat. But evolving, survival, growing, that's all goes hand to hand.
Yeah. Wow. So, speaking of surviving, you touched on finishing college. Should we
Yes.
call you Doctor Maryna now?
Yes, I did go to we joke about it every single college that you could think of. Taj, I have a simple mission. I wanted to learn English. I wanted to be able to speak, write, and read fluent in English. Some people, maybe like you, who gets it easy. I'm just kidding. But for me, it was hard. It was not easy to learn the language. I still, to this day, don't understand some of the writing, why certain letters go next to each other. But I at least remember how to write it, right? So I went through every single college just with that simple mission. There was no AI. There was no Grammarly to correct all my writing. Okay? So I could fully tell you that I graduated all of the schools, including my doctorate degree, without the AI involved. I graduated, and 6 months or 3 months later, ChatGPT started blooming. But I'm happy and honored to say that my doctoral degree has my own thoughts, no, not AI generating, which
Wow.
proud of.
Yeah.
Little thing to be proud of.
No, it's a big thing, you know. I mean, I spoke Canadian because I was born and raised there, and I had to learn how to speak American and get rid of my accent. So, little bit of an edge for sure. But you know, first generation immigrant family, that's exactly the kind of ambition that I think certainly that you possess. But has your definition of success changed over time, Maryna? First, it was money, right? It was like, I need $5,000 and I'm heading back.
I think the definition of success is pretty complex for me because I call myself to myself. Like when I talk to myself, is vampire. I always want more. I always want more. It's nonstop. Sometimes it's honestly exhausting. But you have to hit certain areas of completion in some areas, in my opinion. So this is how I look at it. I look at my family. I have a happy family. I love my husband to this day. So many years later, we'll figure out how to make it work. We have 3 daughters. I'm happy there. I feel like I made it work. So that's the fundamental. Yes, I dream about the lake house. I might not ever buy it because I keep investing my money somewhere else, right? But that's the dream. But we have a home. My husband worked on it for the last 18 years to make it our home because it's 1800s house, his family house that's we bought
Wow.
his grandfather. Okay? So foundation is there for success. The reason why I keep going to different trainings and keep investing in myself so I can recognize it. Some people have it and they're still unhappy because they did not learn how to recognize it. So waking up in the morning today, I just landed from Chicago last night, very late night, very early morning. The first thing is not how much I love the world. But I opened my eyes and I looked at my husband. I said, thank God I'm home next to my husband, not at the hotel room again. This is going to be a great day. At little moments. But you have to teach yourself. You're not born like that. Just get up and thank the world for the things you have. When you train yourself for it and however you like to do it, you start recognizing things that you have that makes you happy. Because if you remove that from the equation, if you remove my kids today from the equation, or you remove my husband from the equation, I will be a pretty unhappy person and not successful by any means, in my opinion. All the money would be irrelevant. So let's learn how to appreciate what we have and really work on it. And then everything else that I want, if I got it, great. If not, I maneuver and go for something else. So am I successful? I would say to the world, yes. To myself, not there yet. But I made a certain bucket successful. And one of them is my family, and I'm super proud of it. 24/7, running around, doing things, traveling around the world. And I still intentionally put time for the family. It's like non-negotiable for me. As if the family collapses, I will collapse, which I would not worry much about money in my case.
Wow. Wow. What a gem. What's as we close out, what's the advice that you would share with your 3 daughters? Of all the different tidbits of advice that you shared today, like what is the one takeaway?
It has to be a little bit more than one. Just we're negotiating here, right?
It's
So
okay.
my favorite thing to say, and my team knows this at the office, in the field, I did recent one of the speaking engagement for a award that I was receiving. And I said this, Um, the hot water, hot boiling water makes an egg hard and potato soft. The same environment, different outcome. So I tell my daughters to no matter how much the water is boiling, you have to be that hard boiled egg. That's the advice I always give to my team and to my daughters. But I added this time when I was doing my engagement. I said that be that hard boiled egg, but also be nice to others, be human. And last one, I would say find a mentor. All of us need a mentor. If you don't have a mentor in your life, find one. Click to someone. The same I clicked to my business partner. I didn't have my dad close by, who was my mentor back home. So I found my American dad here. And any crazy ideas he had in business, I'll be like, yes, I'll try it. Yes, I'll do it. Because you need someone who direct you a little bit and share with you their knowledge, but also give you a little bit of safety and security when you're making those crazy decisions. When you have to invest everything you have in your bank account, who is your safety net? Right? Your mentor who's telling you it might be okay to do it, and your family. So that's why I leave it. Be that hard-boiled egg no matter how much that water is boiling, because mashed potato is not an option.
Wow. I love it. I'm gonna look at my breakfast plate a little bit differently when there's the hard-boiled egg and then there's the hash browns.
Well, the thing is, I come from Belarus, and we country of potatoes, so I always feel bad of saying that. But
It's that is wonderful. Well, Maryna, thank you so much. This is today's very big venture, and it's a reminder that scale doesn't come first, courage does. And if there's something in this story that stayed with you, pay attention to that. Take what Maryna shared, bottle it up, put it in your coffee cup, and take it home with you because the world changes when someone decides to build. I'm Taj Adhav, and this is Very Big Ventures. Thank you, Maryna.
thank you.